Welcome back to our coverage of the Excelsior 250, round one of the TIORC series for 2020. First up in the prologue, it was going to be Ernst Roberts and Henry Kerner. They had the dubious pleasure of opening up the route. They would have no wheel tracks from other competitors. They would be setting the tone of the morning session, and they would be finding the going tough as they were out in the loose terrain to open up the lap. Everyone else was going to be finding the advantage as they had at least one set of tyre tracks to follow. There was an overshoot on their run, and that would have cost them valuable time as they had to go and figure out how to get themselves back onto the route. Henry was quick enough on the notes to figure out the mistake and got them back up to full speed quick. The trick would be, though, the following competitors may make the same mistake. The G1, the brothers of Werner and Leon Mostert, were up next and eager to set off their season in fine style. Remember, they were the 2019 national inaugural champions in the side-by-sides. The terrain certainly suited the SXS cars, but a few small mistakes cost them time on their prologue run, and they would have to fight back from the back of the pack. Something that the Mostert brothers relish. For the G11, it was a slightly different look and feel inside of the cab. Marcus Labuskachny on the wheel kicked off his season with a new navigator, that in the form of Gerjo Niemand, a name that we'll be able to recognize as we go through and forward into the rest of the tour. Marcus didn't lack outright speed, but mechanical issues have plagued him last season, and he's hoping to change his fortunes in 2020. Quick word for the marshals to make sure they stay on track. No mistakes in the early running, but they would have to improve as the day got longer. T16 had illustrious company behind the wheel, that of Jannie Visser, usually competing in Class S, who had made the switch to Class T in the Fila Africa Ford Ranger. Alongside him was his new navigator, Donnie Marais from Fila Africa. Still coming to grips with the Ranger, Jannie and Donnie were hoping for a good showing to kickstart their 2020 season in style. They had dipped the toe into the racing format together and in this vehicle in the 2019 season. This time around, they were going into attack mode. For the crew of the G87 that came out of nowhere to start pulling big performances in 2019, Theo Erasmus and Edward Odendahl, now in their second season together, were back and hoping to make serious onslaughts on the G-Class and overall production vehicle championship. They were definitely a massive threat that everyone had spoken about in the off-season. For Kobus Fourie and Philippe Leroux, they were hoping for an end to their bad luck run that took them all the way through last season. The pairing are certainly fast enough to mix it up with the cars at the sharp end of the field, and they would just be simply waiting to see how 2020 would be unfolding for themselves in the Class P championship chase. the Green Machine, Lawrence Boyson wasn't a regular competitor through the 19 season, but when it did come out to play, the mighty big green Bat Venom with the V8 Chevy was always at the front end of the field. Navigator for this outing was local Vryburg resident Kosi Geldenes. The D-Class was always going to be fun to watch in 2020 as it's become one of the most competitive categories. Lawrence Van Wyk and Moni Roo are the defending Class D champions. Following on from their first season together, the pairing were looking to make it back-to-back championships 2019 and 2020 for Class D, and also hoping for a good showing in the overall production vehicle categories. Always great to see what the Land Cruisers can do, and they seem to have got faster through the years. The D2 of Tians Vitoy and James O'Mahony in the Propeller Center Toyota Land Cruiser were up to the task. Tians finished second in the Class D Championship last season and was hoping to get one better this time around. Certainly, they were looking to climb all the way to the tippy top against some extremely tough competition in the production vehicle Class Ds. Stumfer, an experienced campaigner at regional and national level a few years back, is back in the fray with Frans Koch joining him in the navigation seat. Heine doesn't lack speed, and Frans is becoming a very competent navigator and a Vryburg local to boot. He knows the terrain and conditions very well, so all eyes were on them for an old and young pairing that may deliver the goods. Join us after the break when we continue our prologue racing action from the Excelsior 250.